I went to see Uncharted last night. I had some thoughts about the movie. Kind of wanted to put out a quick review of it. Nothing too formal, but we'll have a good time. I'll give you my thoughts on the cast, the story, everything else along with it. Let's do it, shall we?
I shouldn't have come out to play with the big boys, Ian, because you're about to get a proper Scottish welcome.
What?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're reviewing Uncharted, the 2022 movie starring Tom Holland as the titular character, Nathan Drake, and Mark Wahlberg as his mentor, Victor Sully Sullivan, based off the video game series that goes all the way back to 2007, Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. I won't be taking any of the game lore into consideration in my review because that would be disingenuous on my part, because I simply have never played them. Let's talk about the box office so far. This movie's domestic release earned it $15,400,000, international $21,500,000, for a grand total of $36,900,000 in the first 2.5 days of release at the time of this recording. Currently on IMDb, it sits at a 6.7 out of 10 stars with 19,583 reviews in, and a Metascore of 47 with 40 critics weighing in. Rotten Tomatoes has it 40% critics with 179 reviews, 90% audience with 1,000 plus verified ratings. This movie was an hour and 56-minute runtime, and it honestly did not seem that long to me. But I'm going to run through the main cast with you guys and gals out there first and foremost, so we know who our main players are and who actually matters. So there's about 5 characters in this movie who we really are going to talk about during this review. 7 actors in total that I'm about to mention now, but let's start at the top. As I said earlier, Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake, Mark Wahlberg playing Victor Sully Sullivan. We had Antonio Banderas as Santiago Moncado. We think he's going to be the antagonist in this, but we'll wait for that. Chloe Fraser, played by the very beautiful Sophia Ali, who I don't remember or ever recall seeing her in anything before, and Tati Gabrielle as Braddock, who usurps Banderas as the antagonist in this movie for some unknown reason, but it didn't make any sense. But we'll talk about that when we get into the story aspect of it. And then Stephen Waddington as the Scotsman and Pingy Moley as Hugo. They were Braddock, the actress Tati Gabrielle's kind of like main goons or henchmen. So this main cast, Holland is really good as an action star. He has a gymnastics background, so doing his own stunts, the ones he does, comes across very well. The guy got in tremendous shape for this role. I just have to tip my hat to him. He looked to be in very good shape. And this Mark Wahlberg, he's got a proven track record, but he kind of phoned it in here. I'm not going to lie. And his character seemed very NPC-esque, almost the way that Nigel character did in the Jumanji, the newer iterations, like Welcome to the Jungle. It was very, hey, let's just kind of, I'll help you with a little thing and then show up different places. That's kind of how Mark Wahlberg was in this. Banderas' character of Moncada, he did not get the justice he deserved. And like I said, folks, don't mind or try to take into consideration anything I'm saying comparatively to the lore of the video games, because I'm not using that because I don't know anything about the video game. Just this character of Moncada, I really thought that he was much more interesting as the antagonist, and enter Tati Gabrielle, who supposedly worked for him. You know, that kind of comes down to where she eliminates him, and now she's the main baddie, and she was just boring, like very one-dimensional. She had this backstory with Wahlberg, his character Sully, that you never really got, you know, real information on. It was just all like, oh, we're going to talk about it, but they don't show you. And Chloe Fraser, Sophia Ali, her character was just a plot device, and it didn't really seem very genuine with the female characters as far as their development went. It was just like they were there because somebody at Sony was like, hey, we have to have women, and they're like, okay, let's have women. Now, I'm aware that the Chloe character is from the video game as well, so I'm kind of giving her a break there. Braddock, I don't know about, but I thought that both the characters like were kind of just there. They didn't really, they served at different points, like Chloe did anyway, to move the plot forward. Braddock's character was just very one-dimensional and contrived at best, is what I can say about her. Stephen Waddington, the Scotsman, and Hugo, Pinky Molly, they were just goons. Waddington provided a few moments of comic relief. As you saw in the beginning of the video, that moment he had with Tom Holland that was in the trailer, it actually was in the movie, and it was funny, and I did chuckle during that segment. Molly, I don't think he had one line in the movie that I can recall. Maybe one, but that's about it. They were just kind of throwaway characters, like I don't know, 30 or so people that Wahlberg and Holland murdered in the process, you know, trying to recover this gold. But we'll talk about that in a minute when I kind of break down the entire plot of the movie. All right, kids, plot time. And spoiler alert, there isn't a lot here. Nathan Drake and his brother Sam bounced around as kids, the orphanage. Sam disappeared, became an adventurer, sending Nathan postcards. They had a great knowledge of history, and they were chasing the Magellan, the gold that he was searching for and never found throughout this movie. Recruited by Victor Sully Sullivan as a replacement for his brother, which we didn't really find out what happened to his brother till later in the movie. Spoiler alert, he was killed by Braddock, who actually kills Moncada, who's trying to get the gold to restore honor to his house, to his name, as his father is going to cut him out of the family fortune and looks like donate it, which pisses Moncada off. Antonio Banderas' character actually has Braddock kill his dad, and that eliminates that problem right there, because his dad got sick of him looking for this gold and spending the money on it. So his dad was like, no, you ain't getting the money, you chump. And then he has his dad killed, finds out, you know, Drake and Sully are after the gold, so it's a race. You know, this is a very reused, recycled plot for, you know, the very basic action movies. Raiders of the Lost Ark did obviously an amazing job with this. To a lesser extent, National Treasure later on with Nicolas Cage. None of these characters trust each other. Chloe, Sully, Nathan, you know, they're all on separate pages because they all have their own agendas, or so they think at first. And on the other side, as I said, Braddock double-crossed Moncada, so she's now the main antagonist to this movie. And the whole thing at the beginning centered around these two solid gold crosses. Chloe had one, and Drake and Sully had to steal the second one from an auction where Moncada was going to bid on it, and that was a whole huge action scene. Those two crosses really move them from point to point, unlocking different aspects of the story in which the characters need to advance, aka this felt very video game as far as the plot and the story did go. I didn't have a problem with that because I did understand, even though not knowing the lore, that it is a video game adaptation. I enjoyed the action in this movie. That was the one thing that really kept me hooked into it, was the action sequences, from the underwater escape sequence that needed one of the gold keys to release the water out of the bottom when Mark Wahlberg was fighting with Braddock and the Papa Johns, to the helicopters hauling Magellan ships, and that whole chase sequence at the end of the movie. Everything else along the way, the action was well done. The stunt choreography was good. I really think that Tom Holland went above and beyond in the stunts that he did. That came across very well, and he's a very viable leading man in an action movie, given good writing. This needed better writing, but it is what it is. As I said, video game adaptation. One thing I do find funny is that when the men and women fight, again, the men can never best the women in just a raw fight. The women always have to best the men. From Braddock taking out 3 security guards to, you know, tossing Mark Wahlberg around a little bit. It's just absolutely hilarious. They want all this equality, but you still have to, you know, give them the nod in all these fictional fights when we all know what would happen in reality in these situations. But I didn't have any complaints that the movie was woke at all. It wasn't. I'm pointing that out because it's a theme in every movie, because it's that taboo of, oh, a man can't hit a woman or else he's automatically a villain. So we can't have Mark Wahlberg or Tom Holland, you know, beating up these the physically inferior counterparts, and they are in terms of fighting. These two were very, despite what the story would have had you think. Outside of that, the plane sequence that they showed in the trailer was really cool. It defied the laws of physics and gravity and everything else, common sense, logic. It was cool to see. on the big screen in a theater. It was fun, and yeah, it's something that I'm not sure that my son would have wanted to see this in a theater, but watching at home, he's 6, he likes action kind of stuff like that, you know, I think he would enjoy this. I'd like to cover character motivations and dialogue together because they were both very one-dimensional, I thought, but for terms of this movie and how it was executed, how everything played out, the terms of the writing, the story, I thought they were on par with everything else. I think the action was better than the dialogue. The character motivations were very just basic. It's, hey, I want to do this because I need this and I'm this kind of person. It's like, okay, and why do you want this gold? Oh, because you're the villain, but you're trying to restore honor to your family name, and you're just the baddie who killed the baddie, and that's basically all it was. And like I said, the dialogue just was there to move the plot. There wasn't really much depth or layering to it. There was some tell don't show, but even that didn't really go into depth or provide a overall deeper look at anything that we got in this movie. It worked to both the advantage and the detriment of the movie. If a bit more effort went into the writing, it would have translated and made the movie a little bit better in terms of how the story progressed and things like that, and how we saw the characters in terms of development and their relationships with each other and their conflict with each other would have played out a little bit better had it been fleshed out and developed more. But as I said, video game movie, turn your brain off, look at the explosions, look at the fight scenes, and just enjoy seeing the aesthetically pleasing images on screen. And at the end, just kind of brush it under the rug and forget it unless you're a huge fan of this franchise, and then which you might find things that as a video game fan are unforgivable to you. But like I said, for me, not knowing much about the video game, I was able to get through it and just enjoy the movie for what it was, which is a brainless action movie. My final thoughts on Uncharted are this: if you enjoy action movies that you don't have to think about, you don't have a lot to figure out by the way of dialogue or hidden meaning or subtext in a plot, then you know what? You'll probably enjoy this movie. If you're a fan of the video game, you might want to check out a review from somebody who has an extensive knowledge of the video game lore and wants to do a step-by-step breakdown. This, like I said, I didn't script this review out. I'm kind of going off the top of my head from what I watched last night. I enjoyed it. Was it something that I'm going to go see again? No, I'm not. Is this something that I'm going to buy once it comes out? I might pick up a DVD copy of it just so I can watch it with my kid, because I think this is a fun movie for him. He might like it in terms of it. Like I said earlier, it's just kind of a flashy action movie with not a lot of complex dialogue or underlying subtext or meaning or hidden meanings or anything like that. No, it's that if you're looking for that kind of movie, this is not the movie for you. If like I said, explosions, fights, you know, aesthetically appealing imagery on screen, an attractive cast, yeah, this movie's for you. Tom Holland did another wonderful job here as a lead, like he did in Spider-Man No Way Home. As far as Cherry and Chaos Walking, never seen them. Will I watch them? I'm going to watch Chaos Walking because I'm fairly certain that's on one of the streamers I have, so I'll check that out. Mark Wahlberg phoned in his performance. Antonio Banderas completely underused in this. Sophia Ali was just there. The same with the actress that played Braddock, just kind of there and didn't really do much else other than take over as the antagonist once they made the conscious decision to kill off Moncada's character, played by Banderas, which didn't make any sense to me. One of the most enjoyable characters in the entire movie was the Scotsman. He was funny, and I could have done with a little more dialogue from him, but no, this movie was great just in terms of action, and of course it's a lot of CG because there wasn't a lot of practical effects they could have done with this as far as the bigger set pieces went. The airplane sequence was really cool, seeing it all together instead of just bits and pieces of it, even though, like I said, turn your brain off because it defies the laws of physics and gravity and logic and reason and science altogether. Overall score on this one, for me anyway, kids, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Nothing more, nothing less. Mindless action flick. Turn your brain off, enjoy it. At the end, go home, do something meaningful. 6 out of 10 from ETAP. What do you guys think? Have you seen Uncharted? Are you an Uncharted game player? If you did play the game and have seen the movie, let me know what your thoughts are comparing the movie to the game, because I'm interested in that as well. And you can find us all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know all the drill. Do the YouTube things, like, share, subscribe, ding the bell, and yeah, that's it, guys. gals, everybody else, I'm out. I'm Etepo, queen of the place to be reviews. Yeah, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. I'll catch you on the next one. And remember, I've been here with all yous. If I don't see you,
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Now come out to play with the big boys, Ian, because you're about to get a proper Scottish welcome.